Uh, I just wanted to use this opportunity to thank the organizers for inviting me. Sami, who's a good friend and has actually spent some time with me in India and different parts. So, and I was actually wondering what is it that I can actually tell to Bangladesh, which has done incredibly well since its independence in terms of not just developing itself, but becoming or transitioning into a middle income country. So, so I thought maybe I should start, and then I was listening to the SAS presentation by Elias, if I'm not wrong. And I thought to the entrepreneurs, there may be some of you who are still left behind. The water. Okay. Yeah. So I heard 2-3 things from the entrepreneurs who were here. One was to think global. I heard some comparisons to India. And then I heard the discussion around scale. And I just want to reverse the order. I actually want to challenge folks here to, instead of think global, think Bangladesh. At $500 billion, you're actually not a small economy. And the kind and sizes that I'm hearing about, you really don't need to build a global business to achieve the kind of scale that you can achieve right here. So my general advice is first try to actually build companies that are scaled in Bangladesh. Global is a very good and exciting idea, but to build for globe, you need to first reach some scale, and I think you have a reasonably sized economy here itself. And serving that economy might actually be a brilliant idea. My presentation, therefore, on impact investing would actually to encourage and challenge you to build for Bangladesh and then think of building for the world. Let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Vineet Rai. You have already heard. I'm the founder of Aavishkaar. But I'll take you back to my journey. I started my journey as an entrepreneur when I was 29 years old. I was working for the government. I quit the job in a huff, and I wanted to start a fund. Now, this is 99, 2000 of India. The word startup was not imagined in India. And we were actually struggling to figure out how do you build a country from 1990s when we almost went bankrupt. So in 2000, when I actually was thinking about setting up a fund, my background, which is a foresting, so I came from forest, and I had no idea how to raise capital, where to find money. I had never traveled out of India. But I was very convinced that if you can allow Indians to solve the problems themselves with capital that has the ability to give them the independence, you may be able to actually transform rural India and build a very equitable world. I started with 5,000 rupees, roughly translates into $100. And fast forward today, we manage roughly around $1.3 billion. And have invested in 75 enterprises, not just in India, but Indonesia, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and East Africa. It is possible to scale if you are trying to solve real problems, and that's really what impact investing is all about. Okay, so let me start by really talking about a very cliched statement. A lot of people around the globe say, every investment makes impact. So why do you need to actually do impact investing? And that's true. When this building was built, this 5-star hotel was built, a significant amount of impact was delivered. The question is impact investing that? And our answer is, yes, all investment deliver impact, but investing and impact investing are two different things. And the only difference is that you start by saying you're going to make a difference. Okay, I thought he was calling me, but he's not. So let's take you back to the idea of last century. In the last century, we were talking about roughly, probably the highest amount of wealth creation. The 20th century is known for wealth creation, but it's also known for actually creating the widest gap between those who had and those who are not having much. So That challenge, when we started off, and some of us actually at the time believed, some of us assumed at that point of time that there is a problem, there is a solution in the problem itself. Entrepreneurship as a problem has created significant wealth, but also created significant divide. Can you actually try to use the same entrepreneurial thought process, unleash it on the big problems that the world sees, with capital that allows them to build for scale? So some of us, I in India, Jacqueline Novogratz in Acumen in New York, and then Ronnie Cohen in Europe, almost the same year, and that's serendipity, none of us knew each other, started with the same thought process, with a very different backgrounds. Jacqueline came from development sector, Rockefeller Foundation. I came from Forest, as I said, and Ronnie came from mainstream venture capital. And each one of us had slightly different intentions. Jacqueline wanted to mobilize philanthropic capital to actually provide equity to entrepreneurs. I wanted to mobilize real capital to invest in real businesses that will transform lives. And Ronnie wanted to use capital to provide jobs and employment to people living in remote parts of. Now, this was a thought process, and this thought process has evolved quite significantly over a period of time. In the last 23 years, the last claim is $1.2 trillion of capital has actually moved into impact investing. And so it was not a bad idea after all. So a question to the audience, what do you see here? Okay. Okay, brilliant. So I think both trash and work and birds are actually real, but I think what I was seeking for is an opportunity. So if you want to build Bangladesh, I don't think so it will be difficult for you to find such places. This is from India, by the way. And if you can see opportunity, wealth, equity, social entrepreneurship, and change in this, then you are the guy who can mobilize a part of the $1 trillion that I'm talking about that exists. And that's why there is huge opportunities right surrounding you to make a difference. I'll show you a video that will try to connect you to that reality. How we found some young guys who are able to convert this waste into wealth. And this is their story. Sound. I'll just stop it if anybody can help me with the sound. The video has a sound. The video has, no, not this one. Yeah. It's playing, but can you provide sound here? Yeah, the sound is muted here. Yeah. I think it was to come from there.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's working.
Should I play it?
Expand karo na to expand duplicate kore na. Do you know how to do that? I don't know.
Okay. Meanwhile, while this gets fixed, let me actually tell you the story of these guys. So A gentleman from Citibank joined me, and he wanted to understand what is impact investing. So we were driving, and at that time, we were passing something like this in Mumbai. And I said, what do you see outside? And he said, I see a huge pile of waste. And my question to him is, do you see any opportunity there? And he said, none that I can think of. And so he said, let's actually try to test ourselves and see if we can convert this into an opportunity that could be $1 billion opportunity. And my colleague Ajay and me then actually spent next 12 months meeting 35 entrepreneurs who were working with waste across India. Most of them were either working with the government to clean the waste and effectively were being paid by the government. So we put in a boundary condition that any entrepreneur working with the government and being paid by the government should not qualify for our investment. Because for an impact investor, you must make money outside the government and not within the government. And finally, we stumbled across the 3 gentlemen that you see here, actually 2 of them, on our way back in Gujarat. And they were doing exactly that. They were working with that pile of waste, trying to convert that waste into an opportunity. And an opportunity that they believed could build them a unicorn in a reasonable period of time. I invested, and some of that story is not in the video, so I'll just tell you the story. I invested $500,000 into these 2 guys. Their turnover at that time when I met them, annual turnover was less than $10,000. I gave them $500,000, hoping and believing that they will change the world. Within 6 months, they were the fire. The fastest thing that any entrepreneur would do when you give them money is to actually collect the thing that they want to correct. And so they did the same thing. They converted my $500,000 into waste very quickly. And that waste, again, converting the waste into wealth was a much difficult process. And there was a fire incident, and so my $500,000 was converted into half a kg of ash very quickly. 6 months later, burning $500,000, I called these entrepreneurs and asked them, is there a way that you can actually rebuild this, but this time, think about building something that has technology ingrained into it. And then I gave them a target. At that point of time, their plan was to build a 2-ton per day waste management plant. And I said, okay, can we make it 100 tons per day? And their first reaction was, we burnt everything while we're trying to build 2 tons. How can we even imagine 100 tons per day? But 15 days later, they came back to me and they said, hey, can you give us $5 more million? If you give us $5 million, we might actually build a 60-ton per day plant. Given that I had no choice, losing after $500,000, I went ahead and gave them $4 million, actually, not 5. And the story that you would see in the video is what happened in the second inning. And that second inning, just make a guess, what do these guys do today? I met them in 2013, gave them money in 2014, and we are in 2023. So make a guess, what do these guys do now? Any guess? I gave them a target of 100 tons per day. What do you think they did? Yeah, so they are 587 tons per day and should be reaching 1,200 tons by the end of the year. So that's the story.
This is a bag full of waste, and guess what? Its life is gonna change, thanks to these 3 guys. Oh, wait, you don't know them. Wait, sorry, I forgot. Let me tell you the whole story. It all started with this guy, Sandeep Patel. He studied in London and came back to India in 2002. He liked waste management, but he did not do that. We'll come back to it later. Between 2002 and 2011, he set up a travel agency, a BPO, a chemical trading unit, but guess what? In 2011, he shut down everything and started waste management. Everyone said, he called his associate from his previous business. He was sipping chai. He said, Ravi, let's recycle. Sakhat. Just for your information, everyone calls him Dada Bhai. And they started Nepra, one of India's leading dry waste management companies. They started traveling extensively to research, and they met everyone. Waste pickers, transporters,
market is unorganized and unreliable. One point of contact to chahiye.
Recyclers, and they even met the President of the United States. They realized that the waste management market was unorganized and unstructured. They needed to solve this.
We need technology for transparency and scale.
For recyclers, we need one point of contact.
And fair payment and bigger waste generators.
Who's this guy?
Dhrumin Patel.
Alright. So, they got bigger waste generators like hotels, malls, restaurants, industries on board, and they structured the middle part by bringing transparency and inclusion for waste pickers. And all this was synchronized and managed by a software that they developed themselves. They became a platform. So, here's how it works. Your dry waste is collected by collection vans from homes, schools, hospitals, malls, colleges, hotels, basically any place that generates waste by registered drivers linked to the ERP app. They collect dry waste from registered waste pickers,
thus at 800.
input their items, and pay them a fair price. The entire process is controlled, monitored, and live tracked from the support office. The entire value chain involved is effectively put to use with fair payouts. By the time the truck reaches the facility, all the information is updated in real time and cross-checked by the supervisor. From there, the bags are unloaded and fed to the machinery. The dry waste is processed in the automated system designed by NEPRA, using optical sorting and prepared as per recycler requirements as a commodity. Meanwhile, the team at the NEPRA facility has daily strategies to ensure the system flows smoothly. This team is led by
JK.
The segregated items arrive at the post-sorting belt for final segregation and quality check. Finally, different items arrive at the baling area. They are compressed or shredded, and the material is ready for dispatch. Out of the total input, 90% is recycled into various commodities like t-shirts, pipes, buckets, garbage bags, etc. And the remaining 10% is sent to the cement companies as refuse-derived fuel. This means zero waste. Homes, waste, recycled, sales, and back to homes. This helps to build a happy and sustainable circular economy. NEPRA's t-shirts are also made out of recycled waste, marking their commitment towards sustainability and recycling. Ahmedabad is home to a 75 feet high pile of waste, and these three guys want to stop it.
बिल्कुल अब समझे.
Since their inception in 2011, they've gone from a manual waste segregation force to a fully automated one. They are now one of India's leading waste management companies. NEPRA's Let's Recycle initiative is already making a huge impact in Ahmedabad, and it's eager to go pan-India. By 2025, they will be in 25 cities, working with over 50,000 waste pickers. So,
Whenever you think of dry waste, think NEPRA.
this
Now the interesting part is that US has requested them to actually come to US to solve US massive waste problem. As some of you probably know, that US has huge amount of land, and unlike our landfills that are above the ground, their landfill is below the ground. They need to find ways to solve the burgeoning massive problem. Now how do you build such companies? Aavishkaar has made 75 such investments. And one of the thought process that we carry is that you need to actually look beyond the obvious. Capital is an important and interesting idea, but you don't solve your problems by money. Money is an important ingredient, but not the final ingredient. What you need are entrepreneurs, and what you need is an ecosystem. So not only did we try to build an ecosystem on our own, but then we worked with the government and many others to build the ecosystem. Aavishkar's ecosystem efforts have not just been local. We have played a fairly important role in building the global ecosystem around impact investing as well. Being one of the pioneers allowed us that leverage, given that we had nothing much to look up to. But building an ecosystem in Bangladesh would actually help you to create opportunities that would probably give you bigger and faster returns in the local economy, creating local jobs, etc. They need not necessarily be outside in the developed market.
But have you heard that it takes
And we have done so while making money. So if you actually want to know what Aavishkaar did with the money that it has raised, this is actually our good, bad, and ugly in terms of performance. I don't want to waste your time trying to sell what we did. But I'm trying to tell you that when I started off, India was behind where Bangladesh is today. And if I can actually, coming not from a financial background, coming from a forestry background, can build something up, then entrepreneurs and smart guys sitting here in this room can do actually much better. So there are opportunities right next to you. Please do not ignore them. One thing that I would like to tell you, which is very critical and important for you to understand, is that every time you try to do something and try to build, there will always be a conflict between doing good and doing well. And that conflict is going to be inherent. Now that conflict does not align only to impact investing. It happens in mainstream. So if you're trying to build a SaaS business and you raise million or $5 million or $15 million, you continue to have that conflict. Growing fast brings in all kinds of challenges in front of you. You will go through governance issues, governance challenges, and all kinds of challenges as a society. As Bangladesh tries to build larger scale companies, you will deal with these conflicts. These conflicts will be making better returns at the expense of better good. These conflicts could actually be growing fast versus being well governed, and you will never be walking away from them. So whether you want to actually go early or late, you will not be able to walk away from the conflicts that inherently come in trying to build businesses. Do look at them very carefully, otherwise you will walk up, walk far, and then you will fall down. Very quickly, some of the learnings that we have had in trying to build enterprises. And in trying to build enterprises, you cannot just be a great visionary. You have to actually get down to the ground and make and have your hands dirty. This was actually for all impact investors also. Anybody who's actually trying to invest, you will have to actually get down on the ground and understand the grimy reality of life. There is nothing very fancy about impact investing. You'll have to build grounds up. You'll have to find the piles of waste. You'll have to actually find other opportunities. Bangladesh is great in terms of agriculture. There are great opportunities in agriculture. The world concerned in the between the Ukraine-Russia conflict, food has actually become a very big problem. Food security is a huge opportunity. Bangladesh has great agriculture, and the agri-tech thinking or thinking about the world as an opportunity might actually be a great area to think about. I would actually like to conclude on this slide by just simply saying that it's a very complex thing to build an ecosystem and scale an enterprise. It's not easy to do that. Be mentally prepared to deal with multiple complexities as you scale. I think this is actually the history of impact evaluation. I have to talk about it. So between 2001 and 2023, we have been able to actually find $1 trillion odd. Now the challenge that impact investing is facing, that $1 trillion odd, probably 800 billion of that is essentially old wine in a new bottle. This is the same guys with same money that has actually been reclassified as impact investing. So while we may think that we have actually attracted $1 trillion of new money, we have effectively relabeled probably 80% of that money as new money. So that challenge and that conflict actually exists. It's actually a deep conflict, and I don't think so we can walk away from this conflict without acknowledging it. And so everywhere I go, I actually make sure that people understand that we have also a very deep conflict in impact investing. What does impact investing mean to Bangladesh? This was a question posed to me, and I think Bangladesh has done brilliantly well from where it stands, both on per capita income and human development index. But I think a lot of this, you have to be very grateful to the large not-for-profits that have actually played a defining role in bringing you this far. But as you transition to what is known as middle income, I think that part of the pool of capital is going to dry up. And it is at this point of time, the entrepreneurs who are sitting in the audience may have to stand up, and Bangladesh may have to think about reimagine the development architecture. This time, riding on the aspirations of the younger Bangladeshi population, which has the potential to think and solve for itself, for its own surrounding. And if you are able to do that, you may be actually solving not for yourself, but also actually building a new Bangladesh that is actually riding on the aspirations of the young population that you have. So that is my recommendation. Impact investing is a very powerful partner in that journey. It will also be a partner that will allow you to solve for yourself and not to look outside for a solution. So I'll conclude with this. I want to thank you again to have me here. And I hope and believe that Bangladesh, which has actually taught the world about many things, including microfinance, may actually play a very important role in using impact investing for developing for itself. So thank you so much.